Jai Guruji, Jai Babaji. As Paramahansa Yogananda has said, a book that is recommended by Babaji Guruji for his disciples to read, that Babaji is among us. He has taken human form and he is among us. And even though in his book by Paramahansa Yogananda, Autobiography of a Yogi, it's said that he lives in the mountains of Himalaya. However, I believe that this next satsang, this sharing of the divine intervention that I've experienced shows that, of course, Guruji is among us, Babaji is among us, and he can manifest in any form and shape. There is no ifs and buts with Guruji, Babaji. That's the number one lesson that we learn from Guruji. My name is Sun Pirahesh. I am the physical body is born in Iran, Middle East. I born in a city called Tehran. I experienced many mystical events in my childhood while living in Iran. I remember I would always stare at the sky and wonder, why do I feel this disconnection and emptiness? And when we left Iran in 1998, it was in 2003 that I got a very vivid, loud urge to go back to Iran. And my excuse was my grandma. My grandma, because I was not a planned child, after being born into a family that had, I have an older sister. She's 1 year, 1 month, 1 day apart from older than me. And so when I was born, after the initial care from my mom, I moved in with my grandma, and I spent most of my years with my grandma living in Iran. And of course only Babaji knows who grandma is. If I say she was a saint, maybe I've said low, like I've lessened her level. She was always in shukrana, always in prayer. No matter what happened in her life, she was always grateful and in shukrana. And I was blessed to be raised beside her, by her. And never did I hear her utter anything but love and compassion and goodness and goodwill, or anything of that sort. And I had this calling to go in 2003 to go to Iran. And at the time I had a friend who was going back from Canada also to Iran, and so I used that as an excuse, and because my mother knew that I was going due to that reason, she declined. And the calling was so loud that there was no way that I would have allowed to miss it. I was a very naughty child. And if I knew that something was right, I would make sure that I give it my all and do. And after huge arguments with my mother, finally this voice took over, and I heard all of a sudden, just in the middle of a argument, all of a sudden a voice said, "Tell her that if grandma passes away and I don't see her, I'll never forgive you." And I remember I just said exactly what the voice told me, the inner voice, God, source, energy, higher power, anything that we call our creator and the Almighty. And I immediately said, if grandma passes away, Mom, and I don't see her, I'm never gonna forgive you. And as if this energy formed around her, she just got quiet, which is very unusual for my mother. And she accepted. A week later, I was in Iran, and on the first night that I slept in my grandmother's house, must have been a week and a half, 2 weeks after I arrived in Iran. Suddenly one night, due to an aunt of mine requesting that I go and pay a visit to my grandma, because my grandma kept coming to either my other aunts or cousins' homes to see me, but I never traveled to go see her. So finally, I was told, you must go see grandma as well, pay her a visit. It's not right. And so I hopped on the taxi that day in Iran and in Tehran, and I immediately went to her house, and I spent the night there. And it was me, my grandma, and my cousin, and I remember it was 4 in the morning, early morning hours. I can't say exactly what time. I was woken up and I didn't have any sleeping problems. I didn't have any issues. I woke up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I sat up. And as if this energy was, was doing it all through me. And I sat up, and all of a sudden I saw right beside my grandmother's, she had this really long brown closet, and all of a sudden I saw a figure right beside the closet, everything looking like a human, bald head, a male figure in his 40s, early 50s maybe, and I saw mouth and everything else. However, the physical eyes weren't there. I only saw a third eye, a vertical, long vertical eye on the forehead. And I was so shaken. I was so scared of what I had seen. I was just frightened. I just couldn't understand what I was seeing. The eye was very unnatural for me. I didn't know, I was born in an Islamic country, didn't know, I've never heard of such a figure. I've never seen a picture or anything of that sort. And so I just thought I'd seen a ghost, and I just covered myself with a blanket. We slept on the floor, and I just covered myself. And I remember I just knew one mantra in Islamic, from the Islamic Quran book, and I kept saying that maybe 2,000 times. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad fajr falajar. And I kept saying that, and I kept saying that. And I kept saying, please don't harm me, in my head. And I was like, please don't harm me. And all of a sudden I heard my grandma, maybe after 2 hours. It was the longest hours of my life. And she woke up, and I just ran to her and I said, grandma, hysterically, very, very scared, told her that, I've seen such a figure with the third eye. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I've heard of ghost stories. Nobody has shared such a thing. And all of a sudden she said, calm down. He's around me. He comes here a lot. He's around me. All is fine. Don't worry. So the moment my grandma, who's like a mother figure to me, the moment she said that, as if, again, this energy wrapped itself around me, and I felt so comfortable. And I just, I put it as coincidence of having my first interaction with a ghost. And I went around telling people and being so proud that I had my ghost story to share. And life moved on. I spent the next 2 weeks in Iran, and I was on a flight back to Canada end of July 2003. And 3 months later, my grandma passed away. I was named the smartest kid in the family. I was constantly praised after that, because everyone told me, wow, if you hadn't said those words, if you hadn't said, Mom, if you don't let me go to Iran, I'll never forgive you, you would have suffered significantly, because everybody knew how close I was to my grandma. I took the last picture of her being in physical body, and just the whole family praised me, and my ego kept going up and up and up, and I felt very lucky. However, at the same time, I was very upset, because I knew, and disconnected, because I knew that wasn't my voice, that wasn't my doing. but I had no definition. I had no knowledge of where it come from. And of course, I was born in an Islamic country, but never religious. Was never born in a religious family, and I was not spiritual, nothing. I never believed in anything until I didn't experience it myself. So I didn't believe in the books, in the Bibles or Qurans or whatever I heard in Canada, or having known from my own background, Iran, and I never believed in anything, and I won't, and till I experience it with my own eyes. And so anyway, and life went on, and I felt very blessed and lucky. Not blessed, lucky. I didn't know what blessed was at the time, of course. I had no idea. I took it all as my own chance and my own smartness, and as I said, the ego built up over the years. Every time there was a family function and there was a talk about my grandma, and of course your surroundings have an effect. People praised me and said, you're a very smart kid, but I knew it was in me. So life moved on, and from 2012 to 2018, starting 2012, in 3 episodes I started to suffer significantly from different ailments. When it started in 2012, I was bedridden for 12 months, a year. I didn't get my period. I had severe constipation. Severe migraines. I couldn't explain what was happening to me. A lot of people call it Kundalini awakening. I don't know. I just again, something that my body was going through, and that was it in 2012, and I felt a little bit better after 12 months, and then the second episode hit in 2015, 2016, and I was bedridden for 11 months. And again, no period, constipation, severe insomnia, severe depression. I tried to commit suicide many times, and I was a wreck. I was disconnected, and today I take those years as a huge blessing. However, at the time I was I was in a lot of agony and suffering. I couldn't move. I couldn't take a shower. My hair fell. I had long hair. Anyway, it was just a total pain. And that was in 2000. The mystical events again had taken place when I was in Iran in my childhood, and I didn't experience anything that I knew of till the second episode that it hit, the illness hit. And I remember I was so suicidal that I had a friend who was in Iran, and he kept messaging me, and all of a sudden one day, I was just frustrated. I had closed all social media. I closed the doors on everything and everybody. I didn't want to be seen by anyone. I didn't want to see anybody in that state. And I was in bed literally 24/7 with maybe, if I was lucky, an hour of sleep. And I remember this friend of mine kept messaging me. And this friend coming into my life is another miracle story of its own, which will be shared on, if God willing, on my channel. However, this person messaged me, and I had met him only once before this incident in Iran, and on a flight. Again, I will share that amazing mystical experience. And all of a sudden I said, you know what, I'm tired of him messaging me. Let me just tell him, be straightforward, and tell him what condition I'm in. I just told him, listen, I'm not in a good state. Please don't message me. Your intention might be to start a form of friendship. I'm not there. And all of a sudden, he says, no, I will get you a ticket. Come to Iran. There's a house that's empty. You can stay there for as much as you want. And I won't bother you. You'll have the key. Just stay there. Just change your environment. And I know today was Babaji's blessing. And so anyway, when I said a lot of mystical things started happening in 2015, 2016, is because I had a lot of dreams that became a reality months later. And when I walked into the house, in this house in Iran, um, I was just blown away when the key was put and he opened the house, and he said, "This is your house. You can do whatever you want to do here for as long as you want. Um, just don't think about anything but just healing." And when he opened the door, I was blown away because exactly that house was shown to me 3-4 months prior in my dream. That I walked into this house. It had wooden stairs. Exactly a person with his figure and his physical garb gave me a key, and there was also a car there in my dream, but later I found out actually that family did own that car, but it was never given to me. But anyway, it was just exactly what I had seen in physical life was shown to me in a dream months prior. And so in this house, I meditated for the full month that I was there, a little bit more than over a month. Meditated 24/7. I was in a condition that I couldn't, of course, sleep that much, but they had a fireplace in this house that I'd never been, and this house was so holy and so energetic, full of divine energy, because in Iran, whoever that's been to Tehran, of course, on the southern part of Iran, there are palm trees, or maybe on in the north, but there was a palm tree right in Tehran in this house, and that doesn't exist, and it was so huge. This palm tree might be over, who knows, maybe 2,000 years, God knows, only, I'm just guessing here, but such an energetic, like I felt this energy. A lot of my ailments subsided when I was there, and of course I wasn't getting my period. A lot of things weren't working, and it was actually I was going through a lot of right before I went to Iran, I went through platelets, my blood platelets dropping, and so they thought it was leukemia, and they did bone marrow biopsy, which was a very very hurtful experience, very painful experience. However, and they found that no, it's just my platelets dropping, and so they kept injecting me with drugs and pills, and nothing was working. So anyway, I'm in Iran, and I'm sitting. This is after these ailments in Iran, the blood problem that happened on the second episode as well, and so all I did was meditate, and a lot of mystical things happened inside this house. I would see a lot of light, a red light. I would see flashes of white light. I would dream these mystical, vivid dreams that became a reality, of course, later as well. A lot of mystical events. There was an incident that happened in Iran, a building that collapsed in October 2016 called Palasco, this building named Palasco, and I had dreamt about it, and that's another mystical experience that I'll share on my page as well regarding that. However, a lot of mystical things happened, a lot of divine, and I felt energy around me, I felt angels around me, and that was the year that it was inside that house that someone introduced me to energy healing, and I started getting spiritual, sitting in meditation for hours, even though I was my head wasn't functioning right because of severe migraines, but I just sat. I was very stubborn. And I kept saying, you know what, whatever energy that created me has the power to heal me. So, it has to be a way. There has to be a way when no hospital in Toronto could help with anything. Literally, I was in and out of hospital every day, being injected every day in hospitals in Toronto. And so I healed a little bit in Iran, but of course that didn't do. And I was on my way back to Canada. I came back to Canada, and I wrote all the mystical events that happened in Iran, all of it in my notebook, and I left it at that. And I came to Canada, and I remember I was still, didn't get my period. I was still in severe pain, and it was 25th of December And that date has a lot of divine things has happened on the 25th of December for me. And on 25th of December 2016, suddenly I saw a white light. I lived in downtown Toronto at the time, and then I saw a big ball of white light come from outside my window, and it was really big, and it came in and it got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It was a foggy white light. It wasn't a vivid white. And it came and it went right inside my stomach. And because I was in and out of mental institutions, because I was in such horrific state that I can't even, there are no words to describe. Only Babaji knows, only Guruji knows what I mean. And I was in and out of mental institutions because mentally I wasn't fine, and I was, of course, committing suicide, and I was under watch. And all of a sudden, when I saw this white light and go inside my body, I couldn't mention it to anybody because I was afraid that I'd be sent back to the mental institution. And of course, it was really hard, but I witnessed something that I just didn't make sense. What was this white light? What did just come into my body? But anyway, the next day I got my period, and I healed. The migraines subsided. It wasn't a perfect 100 good, but things got better, and life went on. 25th of December 2017, the third episode hits. And this time I just said, no way, I'm not living life like this ever again. And I'm so happy I never gave up. But every time I went to give up, something would happen. Something, of course, Babaji would stop it. And I had no idea who Babaji was. I had no idea. I didn't believe in God at this point. I lost my trust in everything so much. The best doctors couldn't help me. So, we rely on doctors as if they're God, and we rely on our parents and everything. And when everything fails us, that's the only God is the only source to go to. But I didn't trust anything at that time. I had lost my faith and trust in everything. And the most important thing I say to everyone was that the hardest thing was that I lost faith in myself, and I lost trust in myself. And so it was really tough the third time, and I said, there's no way I'll live this life. So I tried every time. This time when I tried, every time something would happen. Even if it was 4 a.m, someone would knock on the door randomly, just things like that would stop it. And it wasn't until I was bedridden again, no period again, and severe. And on the third episode, most of my hair fell. And so I was forced to cut my hair. I had long hair. Being a Middle Eastern woman, I believe our hairs are really, as a woman, doesn't matter. But anyway, I had to cut all my hair, boy cut. And it was very thinned out. Anyways, on June 20, sometime on June, as I came out of bed and I sat on this pillow that I just sat on the floor, and I would just close my eyes and I would beg God to help me. All of a sudden, I had a vision of the figure that I had seen, which I had forgotten completely over these years. For 15 years, I had forgotten this figure. And all of a sudden, as I'm sitting, his vision, as if I'm taken back to that day in my grandmother's house, his vision comes in my head. And the voice says, pray to me. Ask me to help you. And I remember I just said, whoever you are, whoever you were, you're the only supernatural figure I've seen. Please help me. I can't continue. There's a reason I've seen you, and somebody confirmed my grandma. Please help me. And my life literally became a miracle from that moment on. Every time I stepped out, the weather got better in Toronto, and I started walking, taking small steps, going out for small walks, or just going downstairs to the condo building that we lived in. And I would see butterflies, and that was very unusual in Toronto downtown. And I would see a lot of butterflies around me, and I felt an energy different from what I've the normal energy that I had around me. And I started visualizing myself healed. For some reason, this voice kept telling me to visualize myself just even though I couldn't go out and spend time with my friends, but I would be like, guided to meditate and visualize myself like going out and dressing up and, and things like that. And I would start doing things that I never done before, even though I was in a state that I wanted to exit life. But anyway, from June, things happened that was so divine. 1st of July, Canada Day, was a Sunday. And Babaji calls me son, and that day is so significant and divine for me, that 1st of July. And on Canada Day, it was a Sunday, and all of a sudden I went to buy hair color because my hair had gotten so thin. As I said, it would get oily so fast. So my mentality was, if I put hair color on it, then it's gonna get thicker, and so I don't have to wash it as much. So I went downstairs to a pharmacy, and the pharmacy was closed. So, I was like, I have nothing else to do. The pharmacy shows that it opens at 10 o'clock. So I just wait on the street. And all of a sudden, the vivid voice again, this voice that's so divine and so beautiful, and it just said, go to C3 Church, C3. And it's in downtown Toronto. And this church was mentioned to me by a friend of mine a month prior, who's Christian. And she said, you know what, instead of lying in bed and doing nothing, just, whatever, with your PJs, just go to the church. It's in downtown. I had no idea where downtown Toronto is huge, but Shukrana, it happened to be very close to my house. 45-minute walking distance. So I started walking, and this church was, anyway, mentioned to me a month prior by a friend of mine, and we never talked after that, but the name was brought to me on that day, 1st of July. The voice said, go to C3 Church. So I searched on my phone, and it was 925 Bathurst Street on Google. And I went to this address, and there was after 45 minutes, and I should say that on my way to church, I saw a painting on the wall, but it was like a physical, like it was a painting of an eye, but it was only one eye. So, Babaji was indicating his presence in my life, but I had no idea at the time. But it was not a vertical, it was a horizontal. But anyway, it brought me, my thought went to him when I saw that eye. So as I'm walking, I get to that rundown church, and I start crying, and I say, even Google isn't working for me. I am at the church, but how come there's no one here? How come it's, the glasses were shattered and broken, and it was this old brown church. And suddenly I just, again, the voice says, pray to me, I'll take you to the church. And I just said, whatever energy that brought me here, whatever energy that I'm feeling, please, if you want me to go somewhere, please just take over my body and take me. And suddenly this energy, just started, my feet just started walking on their own. And I could have gone north, east, west, but I went straight south. And I could see people from further out, like I was running, because the church starts at 10:30, and I was still on my way. And all of a sudden I saw people in front of this school-looking place. And, the voice is like, it's there. And I started walking, going towards it. And when I got there, there was a girl with a tattoo on her arm. And, the voice said, ask her what it means. And I said, hey, what's written on your hand? And it was Arabic. In Arabic, it had written, anything is possible. And so I said, do you mind if I take a photo? And again, this is none of this is me. Something is guiding me to do all of these. And I walk into church, and, the first thing they do, and this is, I hadn't been to church so much. I've never been to this church before. And as they close the doors and they start worship music, praising God, after few seconds, like maybe 30 seconds, 20 seconds, the girl who was playing the guitar and hosting, and the band behind her, all of a sudden they just stopped, which is very odd. And everybody looked, and she said, I have to share a message of God right now, and I had to stop the music. God just put it in my mind that someone on the church today was crying and running, and God wants you to know that this suffering is ending and land of grace is near. And when she said that, I just knew that was for me. I knew. And I started crying, and just, prior to that day, my tears, that expression that they say, my tears have dried up, literally it happened to me because of the severe depression I had. I couldn't cry anymore. I was in that state that I just couldn't cry anymore. However, on that day, on Canada Day, my tears started coming. And I started crying again. And I felt this divine energy, which I'm feeling right now. And I just, the church finished, and I had felt something different. And so I just wanted that. I wanted that eternally. So I came out of the church, and I just, I saw everyone mingling and talking, and I just loved the state they were in. And I just came out, and I sat on the grass outside the church, and I just begged God, and I said, whatever energy that was around me, please bless me with having that eternally. And I got up, and my feet were taken from this. The energy was taking my feet. I didn't go back home from the same route that I had come. I was on a very famous street called Bloor Street in Toronto, downtown Bloor. And as I'm walking from west of Bloor to east of Bloor, my feet get locked on the street. And as I look, and then the voice says, go inside here. And I look to my right, and there's a bookstore called BMV bookstore to my right, and they sell old and new books and used books. And so I went in, and the voice is talking through me, where's your spirituality section? And I go in, and she said straight at the back, and I go straight back. And I must have been there for 45 minutes, and all of a sudden the voice says, remember the white light that you saw 2 years ago? In 2016, December 25th, remember the white light that you saw? Pick up the book right in front of you. And believe me, this book was manifested. The book was not there before. I was there for 45 minutes. I was looking throughout this whole spirituality section. All of a sudden, the voice says, and I look to my to right in front of me, and there was a book written about Babaji, by a disciple of his called The Divine Light, by Anita Kumar. And the minute I saw this book, the voice and the incident in from 2 years back just clicked. And I picked up the book, and I looked at the book, and it was a picture of a bald-headed man, and just his photo. And I just read the first page, and it was someone's story about how Guruji Babaji has healed them, and from many cancers and ailments. And when she had meant to be dead, but Babaji Guruji had saved her life. And it was her story about Babaji. And so when I picked up the book, and only Babaji knows, I sarcastically at the time, I had no idea who Lord Shiva, Babaji, as mentioned by Paramahansa Yogananda or Anita Kumar, and many of the disciples writing about Guruji, about their satsangs, about their stories, miracles about Guruji. I had no idea who this figure was. And so I just looked at the book, and I said, great, someone's story about their guru. I have time, I'll just take it. But I didn't mean to take the book with me. I really didn't. I had 5 or 6 books, but because I wasn't working at the time, I just, I literally prayed before going to the cashier, and I said, please, God, whatever book that, will save, will be a message from you. Please just help me. And I just know these thoughts weren't mine. I know these thoughts were given to me by the creator of thought. And I was just literally saying things like, please, as if someone was guiding me, that these books, ask for what I will show you and what I will. So 3 books came out with me, and one of the books was Babaji's book, the disciples' book, writing about the miracles that Guruji has the healing miracles in her life, and also many other disciples, that's written in this book, The Divine Light. And anyway, this book came with me home, and I read the first book, and it was someone's story about the supernatural, and that was the name of it. And the indication, how I had prayed for how I had said, you're the only supernatural. But anyway, it was someone's book about experiencing supernatural things in their lives, mystical events. And the second book, I had left Babaji's book on the floor, and it was 5th of July that I woke up from my sleep, and like I said, I had severe insomnia. So as I sat down and I was sitting in my meditation pillow, suddenly I felt really tired, which was really odd. Like my body, as if I hadn't slept for a year, and that was a blessed celebration for me. I was like, great, I feel tired, I can go back to bed. And I went back to bed and I slept, and I had a dream. I had a dream that I was sitting in a satsang, which is a meditation place that Babaji Guruji holds, and I dreamt that I was sitting in, and there was a chair right in front of me, flowers around it, a beautiful, very simple chair, flowers, very clean and organized, and the disciples, we were sitting in rows of 3, and I was sitting right front center, right in front of the chair that was there. And there was a door on the left, and they told us to stand up. Like we stood up as the holy figure was coming. And the moment I stood up, I didn't see anybody come in. I just saw a lot of disciples, standing around the door. We were waiting for the holy figure to come in. And the people around me, like rows of 3, we were all standing up. And all of a sudden I saw an energy, this time no color, just invisible energy, but I could see it. I could see this invisible energy come, and it didn't get smaller or anything, just same size in a ball shape, came in and it went inside my stomach. In physical life, I've never fainted. I've never experienced that feeling. But in this dream, I fainted when this ball of energy came into my body. Wow, just got fragrance. Jai Babaji, Jai Guruji. And the moment this ball of energy came inside my body, I felt fainted in my dream. And when I woke up, still in dreaming state, when I woke up in my dream, I was in a bed, and I was in a bed, and as I woke up, I saw a man, a bald-headed man, sleeping right beside me, and with a dark brown dress, which in the Indian culture, chola, in a brown, chocolatey brown chola dress, long, beautiful. And I just looked, and I remember just as I just looked, and I said, who's this man sleeping beside me? And that was it. I woke up from my dream. The first thing I always did with vivid dreams, some energy would force me to write it, and I wrote down everything. God, who was this person sitting beside me? I felt an energy, and that was it. 2 days later, the voice, as I wake up, says, get up, go read the book. Go read the book, The Divine Light. And I grabbed the book. I go downstairs to a patio that we had in the building. And I sat there, and the moment I opened the book, I could feel this energy just going around me, and as if the whole world had stopped, and it was just me and this energy in this book. And my 90% of my migraine was just gone the moment I opened the book. As if a hand just came out from the book, grabbed the headaches, and that was it. And which was so odd for me. Like, I'm thinking, where did my headaches go? What maybe it's this, the mind wants to decide on everything. Like, this is so odd. And so I kept reading, and something kept drawing my attention, stick to the book, and each word was as if I had read it before, as if I can't really describe there's no words created to describe the feeling of what I was experiencing, or I am since then. And then someone mentioned that Babaji Guruji, as mentioned by Paramahansa Yogananda, also someone in this book also mentioned that Guruji is Lord Shiva, the Almighty God, and the Creator, the Destroyer, the Everything God. And I was very interested, because I had heard of this Lord Shiva name not many times, but few times, but Anyway, I'm like, who is Lord Shiva? I just want to know who's Lord Shiva. So I Googled it, and then that was the first time that after a long time, I saw the vertical eye. And again, the voice came back and said, remember you prayed to me? Remember you prayed to me? That figure that you saw with the vertical eye, I had to come in that shape, because then otherwise you wouldn't have recognized me. That is Lord Shiva, that's God. I had come to see, that's Babaji. And so, I was like, the one-on-one started, is this really you? And I had forgotten about the cover page photo at the front. And then the voice said, look at the cover page. You had seen me in 2003 in grandmother's house. And I looked, I just closed, I brought the cover page and I looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, this is the man that I had seen in 2003. This is who I have seen in 2003. And I can't describe, I felt like, this is not possible. How could this be after all these years of what I had gone through? How could this be possible? And my headaches are gone. And so it was just so divine from that moment on. And I said, I've lost my trust in everything. I need to know this is you. And this was my word. I said, I need something special. And I know these thoughts were given to me by him to ask. I know even our thoughts are in ours. And so, he was telling me, ask for something special. And I literally said, please show me something special, that this is you. And literally the next paragraph or the next chapter I read of someone's satsang, someone's story about Guruji, how they've blessed them, with Babaji accepting them into their fold and giving them miracles and healing. It was someone saying how Guruji's birthday is on July 7th. And because I was bedridden for a long time, I had no idea what date we were on, and Guruji just said, look at your phone, the date is July 7th today, and I have come into your life on my birthday. And I looked at the and I must say, actually, for those that are not familiar with Babaji, Babaji manifests himself in comes in different human forms. He's a human avatar, he is. And in this lifetime, he of course in the lifetime that I know, he came in a form of Guruji Babaji. His name Nirmal Singh, born in India, and his temple is in New Delhi, but it's called Baramandir. Of course, he has other temples as well. And he incarnated in that physical body. And his birthday for this physical body was on July 7th. So the moment that person had written that it's Guruji's birthday, Babaji's birthday, Lord Shiva's birthday in this lifetime, in this incarnation, July 7th, I was blown away, because literally I had opened the book on July 7th. And since then, Guruji has manifested himself in front of me, gave me many dreams, and has given so many, when I say manifested, he's given me so many visions of himself, many times in front of me, sitting with me, touching me, directing me, guiding me, and also blessing me with so much. Since then, all my ailments went away in July of 2018, all my ailments. And since then, everything and every day has been a miracle. I am so happy to Babaji for having accepted me, for leading me to the books and guiding me to the books that he wants me to read. And everything is his. My life, this life is his, and my purpose only and only in this life is to guide people back to him, because we are from Babaji, we are from Guruji, and my only purpose is to share my story and share my connection with Guruji. And this is not something I want, this is something Guruji Babaji has instructed me to do. So all I ask everyone is to meditate, and make a connection with Babaji. Jai Jai Guruji.